All right, finally success. Yay. Hey, Larry. Hey, Larry. Larry, you able to hear the video? Larry, can you hear me? Okay, great. All right. Well, it's amazing. You put something out there, and it's kind of like making that spaghetti, throwing that spaghetti against the wall, and hopefully something's going to stick. So I figured I'd go ahead and give this a shot, and no real scripted format, just a place for us to kind of get together and talk about some stuff. I had people hit me up during the week asking me opinions about what's going on with kayaking and the reopening of water access and beaches and classes and trips and all these other things. And it's, I'm kind of like, I'm cautiously optimistic, but at the same time, I'm just not willing to just kind of say, all right, it's everything's business as usual, and jump right into a normal schedule. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting out. And I think I put that in a message during the week. My opinion is the fact that I think I'm just gonna find places that are not very uh, densely utilized and go at it off times, just to kind of like maintain some semblance of social distancing. Again, it's what I see happening is kind of chilling. It's I don't know. I'm not going to get into that aspect of it, but anyway, I wanted to kind of use this forum to get some folks together and again answer some questions, or just maybe throw out a question to you guys. Is how have you been coping with all of this? Obviously it's not something that's just affected the sea kayak community down here in Charleston. It's I look to my whitewater brethren up in the Midlands and in North Carolina and through Virginia, and it's interesting to see what people have been doing to kind of supplement the fact that this is normal water time. It's a weekend coming up, and most of us would be considering what our options are for the weekend in terms of getting out and boating, and how are people supplementing that. I know what I've been doing is I've been turning to, trying to put together some videos, and I do appreciate the feedback that I've been getting from you guys. I also appreciate the opportunity to do it. I'm getting, I see it as a crawl, walk, run type of thing. I'm getting better with each one. I've got some stuff that I need to get, like a unidirectional microphone to kind of prevent the dropouts and so forth. But my whole point was trying to just keep people engaged. And, even if you can't be in the water with your boat, just being around your boat and, showing it some love and then taking the time and being able to do some of those maintenance things. I think it's a good way to keep your head in the game, and also a way of keeping your sanity. For me, it has been too. So, fortunately, I look at the boat that I have that I did in the maintenance video on, and I've got 5 more on a trailer that I need to do. So at least I got something I can work on this weekend, and also the whitewater boats too. I've been getting a lot of folks sending me PMs, through the meetup page. And I talked to a woman today who is relatively new to kayaking, and we had a very productive conversation over an email thread in terms of what she should be looking for a boat. And throughout the course of the day, she would ask me a question, I'd give her an answer. She'd ask me another question, I'd give her another answer. And ended up at the end of the day, she told me that she made a purchase. She got a boat, and she's on her way to pick it up. And I was pretty impressed, how quickly she had put this all together. But I'm happy for her, and equally excited to be helping her with her her paddling journey. Once we can get back on the water, she's going to be a great person to work with in terms of like basic water safety for her and her partner. So it's going to be good stuff. So it's like kind of like laying the seeds for all these things that are going to hopefully bloom into fruition once we get to a point of some stabilization with this COVID-19 pandemic. So anyway, that's kind of like an opening statement, for me. Hopefully you got a beverage. I've got mine. Well deserved. 9 to 5 was really rough this week, but I definitely was looking forward to getting a chance to talk with you guys. So anyway, so let's talk kayaking. Is there anything particularly gnawing at you? Anything that I could help you with? Any questions? Anything in the videos that you'd like me to expand upon? I'm here. I'm here until 9 o'clock. So just go ahead and drop it in the live chat window on the side over there, or drop. I think you can also turn your microphone on and interact with me direct. This is our time. So let me know while you're thinking about it. Couple of things. Starting a kayak vault. So, what's a kayak vault? It's a place where we can put all of our quote kayak porn, boat pictures, kayak pictures, your favorite sunset, you and your boat, you and your paddle your boat, you and your significant other in your boat, something that you feel pretty proud of. Could be a photograph that you took, could be a photograph that someone else took of you. So, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go ahead and submit those to me. I'll go ahead and drop that in. I'll drop that email address in to the chat window. Just drop it in there and send me your pics. I've got a $25 gift certificate that's waiting for one lucky person who goes ahead and drops in that vid or that pic rather, and we'll get that out to you. That's for Timeout Sports. I'm really pleased with the relationship that I have with them. They're my parent, I guess my local parent company in terms of like working with Wilderness System kayaks. I've been trying everything right there. Trying everything I possibly can to help them out, and as well as every other small business that's really feeling the pinch, especially the outdoor industry right now. But Dave and the guys have been really great, and they've been very proactive in helping subsidize what I've been doing. So I really appreciate them coming on board and helping us out with this. So go ahead and, like I said, get those pics to me, and then we'll get that. We'll make a decision, and might even put it out there as a poll. Let the group decide which one they think the best is, and then we'll go ahead and get that gift certificate out to you. All right. So let's see who we got in our participants. We got Larry out there. We got me out there. All right. All right. Anything. I'm all yours. Questions? Something you'd like me to expand on? Something that's been gnawing at you? Something you'd like to see? Something like, again, I'm always trying to improve the quality of programming through the LCP. Those are the meetups, and also any of the programming that I offer through FD Outdoors. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of folks in both the sea kayaking and the whitewater realm as well. So again, this is all things kayaking. It doesn't matter if it's sit on top, recreation, sea, whitewater, play boating, anything that I can help you out with, let me know. In case you're wondering, I'm enjoying a very nice, cold, well-deserved Goose Island IPA. That's kind of been the COVID-19 beverage of choice. Hey, Larry. Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate the videos and just keeping in touch. Yeah, so again, it's important because it's like I look at how many folks are on the actual meetup itself. We've got quite a few, and I'd love it if I'm looking at these numbers and seeing that we've got 1,200 participants sitting here in a conversation. So I know that a lot of people like to be part of a group and so forth. And I know it's sometimes I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall, but I do appreciate folks, like Larry, yourself especially, who's been with me, who actually has been with me from the very beginning and has gone through so many of my programs. I appreciate the feedback. I just want folks to know that I'm thinking about you every day. That I'm working on videos or trying to put together some new content, or even if it's just an email out to you guys to check in. I know that at some point we're going to be able to hit the water again, and it's gonna really mean something. I never take being on the water for granted, for sure. It's something that I feel very very good inside about being able to experience, on a personal level, but also to be able to share it with other people. And I think that's the thing that right now is really kind of affecting me the most, is I don't have that group of people to paddle with. There's definitely a part of me that enjoys paddling, myself. There's sort of certain reward to being able to go out there and clear your mind and so forth. But there is definitely, I personally get a lot of satisfaction in working with folks. And again, it's like on so many different levels, even at the meetups, it's like, it's sometimes it's really hard for me to kind of just separate myself from civilian to instructor mode. I'm always looking for an opportunity to kind of like give somebody a hand, help them out, answer a question, ask a question. Um, my whole goal with paddling, and I figured this out early on, was to learn as much as I possibly can, and go ahead and spread that out and get more people involved. This is something I definitely want to do, for a long, long time, provided that I'm healthy enough to do it and I can get in and out of my boat. But, that's another story. So, I talked about like earlier about supplementing, like what people are doing. So obviously I haven't been on the water in about a month and a half. So yeah, that has a propensity to make you a little bit stir crazy if you're an avid paddler. I've actually taken to road cycling. I got involved in road cycling back in January. I was training for my first 100, and unfortunately that got canceled. But I'm still training, so I'm cycling almost every single day. I kind of look at it as kayaking with two wheels. It's basically, if you're a gearhead like me and if you're into tech, there's it's a whole other world. It's like the bike gear, the clothing, the bike itself. It's like I've had to replace all my tools with bike tools because there's it's not an apples to apples crossover. So it's been kind of neat. I kind of look at the glass being half full as like, okay, so I'm dealing on this side with this COVID-19 pandemic, but on the other side, it's like I'm becoming a better cyclist and I found a new love. So it's, I'm kind of like rationalizing, I'm missing the kayaking, but at the same time, I've got the cycling. So that's definitely kind of neat too. So got to figure out how to make the two into like one program. Maybe we have like a cycling, a biking, kayak weekend. Maybe a trip up to the Pisgah National Forest and ride in the Pisgah, and then hit the whitewater up at the Nantahala or something like that. Just those are the kind of things that go through my head while I'm riding my bike. What new content can I create? What new programming I can create? How can I get those numbers up and get more people engaged in what it is that we're doing. So again, I think people engage when they want. People engage in their own way, and it's cool. And I'm all good with it. That's why I got we're sitting here about 20 minutes in, had a little bit of a late start, got 5 people participating. That's cool. Maybe next time it'll be 10 people, maybe the next time it'll be 15 people, maybe the next time it'll be 20 people. Not exactly sure, but I'm gonna keep going. So again, this is nourishment for me, and again, hopefully providing not only entertainment but some good information for you guys. Again, that's what it's really all about. Is just um, keeping the lines of communication open, like Larry said, keeping in touch, and that's what we're doing. So let's see who we got in participants. All right. All right. So anyone, we got five folks out there. Who we got out there? I'm just looking on my other screen. All right. Let's see. Larry's building here. All right. Larry's out there. Hey, Lee just joined. How you doing, Lee? Good to see you. Well, good to see you virtually, my friend. Hope you're doing well on Folly Beach, and looking forward to finally being able to do a whitewater weekend with you and Larry. Um, we'll definitely work on planning that as soon as we can get through this whole mess. But thanks for joining. All right. So Larry says, ready for social distancing, distance kayaking. You went with the group last weekend before the water closures, and it was great. Okay, cool. So Larry, where did you actually paddle out of? Was that down here in Charleston, or was that more up by you in Somerville? Lee, how's everything out on Folly Beach? How you doing, buddy? All right. So Larry put out there a little bit of information about social distance kayaking, and want to find out a little bit more about that experience. How it all worked out. Um, again, people have asked me if I'm ready to kind of jump back in to doing the group thing, and it's it's been kind of an interesting proposition in terms of when to kind of dip your foot back in the water, so to speak. Um, I personally, like, when I leave the house, I work out of my house. My 9 to 5 gig is technology. So I'm up in my office right now, and it's kind of like where I spend most of my time. So I'm used to it. And I know that a lot of folks have had a hard adjustment with working at home. For me, it works out pretty good. I can definitely plan my day. I make very good use of my time. I make sure that it's structured. Uh, and I make sure at the halfway point I'm usually doing something that's physically related. I'm either riding my bike or I'm working out. But let's see. The you know, it's just doing what you can do. So yeah, man, Lee, thanks for saying that you've been watching the videos. Awesome. Again, any content that you would like to see, I'm just I'm just trying to kind of like build upon a theme. So last week I talked about the last video was talking about safety gear with a concentration on the towing rig, the North Water rig itself, and this weekend I was looking to build a contact tow line. They're super easy to build. They're not very expensive to build, and they make a lot of sense to have. I've used mine quite often, so that's what I was going to work on this weekend. But again, it's like I'll adjust the content based on what people want to see. So if there's something like, hey, I got a bulkhead in my boat that I've got to replace. How do I go about doing that? If that's something you'd like me to kind of concentrate on, or like, hey, I got a huge crack in my boat. It's low density polyethylene. How do I weld it? That's something I could do too. Something is anything that was you know, related to the maintenance video, or if there's a question or you want it, I was thinking about doing, like some navigational stuff, or it's like I can adjust the programming to anything that's really interesting, to folks. So cool. Larry, okay. One meetup is starting again, but the leader asked that seniors do not participate. Okay, got that. Last one was DeVoe Bank circumnavigated. Cool. All right. Actually, I've never been out there. So that's on the bucket list for sure. Definitely on the bucket list for sure. So I'm looking forward to getting some trips out there. Again, both on the whitewater side for sure, for folks that are interested in whitewater. Also trips to we tried a couple. The last trip that I did was the 2-day trip on the Edisto, and that was actually a really fun time. The weather held out up until the last day, and we got a little bit of rain, but the Edisto, it just was pumping. It was definitely pumping. So hey, Chip, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. So you're planning a short outing on the Wando River at Dunes West tomorrow. Awesome. So not exactly sure where you're putting in, Chip, but if you wanted to drop some more information into the live chat window, if you want some company, maybe some folks will social distantly join you. Tomorrow, I'm kind of committed to a indoor project. My wife and I, we've been working on some of those things that we just put off for a long time. So we've got the doors of our house, the inside doors of our house, we've been painting. So I think it was 19 doors we've painted black. They look really good. So we've got 2 more that we got to spray tomorrow, and then that project's done. So I'm thinking about possibly getting out on Sunday. Definitely on the Wando, and possibly putting in at Paradise Island. So I haven't taken a look at the tides yet. I don't have my. Let me see if I have my tide chart here. Take a peek. I do have my tide chart. All right, so the NOAA tide predictions for Cooper River entrance, South Carolina 2020. You can download this. This thing is awesome. I usually have it laminated. So let's see. Today is the 24th, the 25th. So we got high tide at 10:50 a.m. on Sunday and high tide at 10:16 a.m. on Saturday. So that's pretty good. It might be a cool thing to kind of like ride the tide out. Maybe head out to maybe do a paddle out to down the river and head over to what is that? What is that place that we always go to? Down on the Wando. I'm having a senior moment. Anyway, head down the Wando, paddle for a little bit, come back. So that'd be kind of cool. Also, water's starting to warm up a little bit too. It's going to be nice to get back to a temperature where we can do some rolling out in the ocean and in the river. That's another thing too. So thanks to all the folks that came down for the winter roll sessions, pool sessions over at St. Andrews Fitness Center Plus. I know that the schedule got truncated. I worked very closely with the aquatics director there, and she was awesome. She was super supportive of what it is we're doing. I see nothing but more of the same for next season. It's just that once this broke out, obviously it was something that we couldn't continue. But I think we had a lot of folks show up. We had a good time this year, and hopefully a lot of people got what they came for. I had actually first time I was able to bring some people down from the Columbia way. Been any let's see, all I see is a spinning circle. Kayak on. Have to exit the chat. All I see is a spinning circle. Okay, Chip, take it easy, man. Thanks for jumping in. All right, so Larry, let's see. Highly recommend. This was my third attempt to reach the bank. Previous attempts were shortened by the groups. All right, nice. So Larry, from a distance perspective, how long a paddle was that out and back? And I guess a lot of it has to do to I'm not familiar with the route itself. Was it did you find it to be a very challenging route? I can actually look it up on my chart. I'll definitely do that after we do this. But sure, if there's anything that you could share about the trip, that would get other people possibly want to get involved. Even if you wanted to be, if you wanted to lead a trip out there, Larry, we could certainly do that too. You've been out that way 3 times. That would be kind of cool to have you as a lead, and we could put together a trip out there. That'd be awesome. All right. So, like I said, thinking about a trip out to on Wando on Sunday. Putting in at Paradise Island boat landing. I just have to decide a time. And head on down. You do a few miles down and a few miles back. So we'll see. We'll see if that's a trip. It was about 12 miles round trip. Okay, 6 out, 6 back. That's pretty good. Awesome. That's a nice clip, and it sounds like it was probably a fun day. Definitely have to look at that route and look at that as an opportunity. Historically, I haven't done much on that side of this the Low Country. Heading towards Folly Beach. Usually, when I go out to Folly, I go out there to surf. But I'm definitely interested in doing a little bit more out that way as well. Also, pushing down towards by Beaufort. I know that we were looking to do. I had a trip planned to the state park down there, and that got totally derailed by our last hurricane that came through. So Hunting Island, yeah. So I'm going to redo that one again. That looked like a fun trip. Probably going to get out there myself at some point and just kind of scout around a little bit myself, so I can familiarize myself a little bit more with the waterways around the island. But again, just trying to push beyond. Definitely want to do another trip out to up to the Georgetown area and head out into Winya Bay. That was a really, really awesome trip, and head out to the lighthouse. Really super interesting currents out there. And once you, if you ride that outgoing tide, man, you hug, you basically North Island, you shoot across and you kind of ride that tide all the way out to the end. It's really, really kind of an interesting mix and influx of currents and very pretty. So that's going to definitely be a trip that I'm gonna do again. Last time I did it, we stopped at the lighthouse. We got out, stretched our legs, checked it out. That lighthouse was actually built in 1812. So, and it's still operational. So Lee says, hey, I think I need to get a sea kayak to do some local paddles with y'all. Thoughts? Lee, you can definitely get a sea kayak. I've got 6 of them downstairs sitting on my trailer. You're more than welcome to jump in any of them. So I would definitely try the 165, which would probably fit you just fine. You could definitely paddle the 170. So you've got a boat, man. I've got gear for you. You don't even have to worry about it. Big fan of Wilderness Systems. Again, I'd like to give them a shout out and thank them for sponsoring me as well. Yeah, Big Red is a star. Larry, that's your go-to boat, man. Definitely your go-to boat for sure. Big Red is still out in the fleet, so and doing great. I'm actually going to do some service on Big Red. So Chip, let's see, Greg, do you rent kayaks that is suited for your trips? I have plastic kayak, not a sea kayak. Yeah, absolutely. Chip, I do offer rentals. Depending on what it is you need, I can kit you up completely from high quality carbon fiber paddle, PFD, spray skirt, and boat. Or if you've got your own gear, your own paddle, and your own PFD, I can supply the boat. So yeah, absolutely, man. I got you covered. I would just need to know your height and weight so I can put you in the right boat. And Lee, you're absolutely welcome, my friend. There's no reason to buy anything right now. You always got a boat if you want to come out and paddle with us. And then at some point you want to get one, I can certainly help you get one too. So definitely want to put out a plug out there to my boys over at Timeout Sports. One thing that I definitely tell the folks that are part of Low Country Paddle Sports or work with me at FD Outdoors is use them as a resource. They're really awesome about matching internet prices. Also, if you go to the shop or if you shop online, if you mention to them that you're part of Low Country Paddle Sports or you work with Greg at FD Outdoors, you get a 10% discount on all store merchandise, 5% off on boats. That's a pretty good deal, right? And it definitely adds up. So they've been a great partner, and again, trying to do everything I possibly can to support them and all businesses. Chip, all right, no worries. You don't have to divulge your weight. I can guarantee you, I got a boat that'll fit you. So yeah, anytime you wanna come along, Chip, not a problem. I would definitely say, the trips that we do, the meetups that I'm trying to get going again on Friday nights, the working person's paddle. Or retired person's paddle as well. Those trips are really dependent on the group in terms of like where folks want to go and what the tides are doing. Like a big favorite of ours is going out of Remley's Point, shooting across the harbor, so you get a really nice view of the bridge and doing a circumnavigation of Drum Island and coming back. We do a lot of work where we leave Shem Creek and we head on down to Sullivan's Island. We do a beach landing, hang out there for a little bit, watch the sun set, and come back on an incoming tide as the moon's coming up. It's just, if you haven't had the opportunity to do any nighttime paddling or dusk paddling, it's a great time to be on the water. Things really kind of smooth out. Boat traffic drops down, and it really kind of changes. You're so connected in terms of visual senses and what's going around you and your sense of balance, so that when you actually start to work in a nighttime environment, you lose that sense of horizon, and you start to feel what paddling by the seat of your pants feels like. I can equate that to being a commercial pilot. When I was learning how to fly airplanes, the nighttime work was really, really interesting when you didn't have that visual horizon. So you're trusting your instruments, you're trusting your vestibular system, and it's you can get, depending on being out at night and having having a little bit of infraction on your visibility, you can get some spatial disorientation. But it's a lot of fun. The night paddles are the evening paddles, the dusk paddles are great. And again, we always try to make a point of going out afterwards, grab a bite and a beer, and talk about, do some trash talking, talk about the trip, talk about some future trips. Again, it's all about the fellowship. It's all about kind of expanding what we're doing as a group. So again, it's just, all I can do is ask people to participate. I keep trying, like I said earlier, to throw that spaghetti against the wall and hopefully something's going to stick. So, it's nice when you look at a meetup or a trip and you got, 10, 12 people committed. That's really kind of fun. But, I've gone out on trips where it's been just one person, and it's just been me and that other guy or other gal, and it's been equally as fun. It's just being on the water. The more the merrier. Sure, great. We've got plenty that we can do. I always try to make it so that, like, each trip is a learning exercise. If somebody is, relatively new to self-rescue, it's an opportunity to jump out of your boat. You've got plenty of people there to support and get back in your boat. And it's just, every time you go out, you get better and better. And hopefully you learn something new. I'm constantly learning things from folks that I paddle with. It's helped me refine my paddling technique, my instructional technique. So I definitely don't, view this as an ego type of thing at all. I'm always trying to learn and get input from folks. So that's why it's so important for me to stay connected with you guys, because you're the reason why I do this. Make me want to keep going. So I definitely appreciate your time and your feedback. So cool, sold me. Oh, awesome. Yep. Yeah, so yeah, I'm friends with definitely friends with Kendra, and friends with Oscar and Sally. That's great too. I actually talked to Oscar and Sally via email a couple of days ago. I know they had been traveling, and I hadn't talked to them in a while, and I just wanted to make sure that they were okay, and let them know that I was thinking about them and looking forward to paddling with them soon. So I think they're getting the itch as well to get back in their boats. So we'll definitely make something happen for sure, and put something together that everybody can enjoy. Definitely one thing, I try to instill in people, and part of the reason why I do the winter paddling, even just like from the pool standpoint, is to keep people in their boats. Because you think about it, is if you're not paddling, I always try to think of it in terms of like where my headspace is, how I am as a paddler. I would label myself, I'm a 365 paddler. I paddle all year long. And I'm not saying that you need to be like me and jump out when it's 15 degrees and hit in the water. And, that's just me. So maybe I'm just a little bit of a combination of out of my mind and, maybe overdriven from a passion standpoint. But anything that you could do to kind of like keep your head in your boat, in terms of like, even if you just sit in your boat, it just makes life so much easier. Because what I hate about, the whole, well, there's a paddling season and there's no paddling season, is you get back in your boat and you're rusty. It's like, it's one thing that I have learned is it takes a while for those good skills to kind of like come to fruition. You think about your very first roll, if you've got a roll, and all the steps that led up to that roll for you to get it, and the repetition, the muscle memory, the fighting against any of the mental inhibitions that were preventing you from getting it, and then you got it, and then you refine it, you did it, you're hitting, your numbers are going up, you're working on your onside, your offside, depending on what kind of paddle you have. Me, I paddle zero degree paddle, so I don't have an onside or an offside. I just have a roll. But then it stops, and then you're back in the water, and all of a sudden you feel like a noob. You're like, oh wow, okay, do I remember this? Do I feel comfortable? It's really interesting because I preach this, and I'm like, stay in the water, even if it's just going to a pool session, even if you just paddle like a small pond or something else, just to stay connected. My foray back into whitewater was, like running a 3+, a couple of months ago for me, was like, it was like, falling off a log. It was no big deal. But I found myself starting to, I talk to folks about that RPM indicator, right? I talk about when I work with students, are you in the green? Are you in the yellow? Are you starting to go a red line? There were a couple of times where I was feeling a little uncomfortable. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that the river that I was on, the section of river that I was on, had changed quite a bit since the last time I was there. There was a lot of wood, and it seemed different. So it definitely got my awareness up, and also I started questioning, like, wow, am I ready to run this part or whatever? And that's normal. But after the first couple of runs and some warm up, I started to feel really, really good. And I actually took a slot move that I had been working on. I do every time I go out, and I just totally nailed it. It was like butter. If you've ever been on the upper Nantahala, I'm sorry, not the upper green rather. There's a really, really cool slot move at Bayless Booth on the right side. Most people go down the left side of this rapid because it's got a nice slide, and you get a lot of air, and you get a lot of you get some air, and you get a good boof off of it. The right side's really technical in terms of threading the needle between a boof and the slot and stuff. All right. Hey, Chip, take care, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for stopping by, man. So it was just kind of like working up to a horizon that I hadn't seen in a while, and then threading that needle and getting through this little slot move. I'll post a video. It's not of me running the slot move, but just so you folks can see it and get a little bit of an understanding of what I'm talking about. It's I can actually I'll draw a line through the move itself so you can actually see the route. But it was pretty cool. And then the guy who followed me, he totally just beatered it, man. He went down, got too far right, and then it was like basically he was paddling his kayak down a flight of stairs. So you can see as I'm sitting in the pool and I see this guy coming down going boom, 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 boom. And it's like the look on his face. He's like, so yeah, I felt pretty good about that. After that, I was like, all right, I'm good for the rest of the day. I warmed up and I was having fun and starting to do some tricks and stuff. So it's, it definitely comes back. So, don't sell yourself short. You got skills. You've practiced these skills. It's just getting back out there and not taking yourself too seriously, and you'll hit that sweet spot again. You'll definitely hit that sweet spot again. So I'm looking forward to seeing some smiling faces. I'm looking forward to seeing Lee back out there. We when we left off, he was rolling like a champ. So I'm looking forward to getting. Yeah, man, can't wait to get back out there with you too. I had an awesome trip with Lee and Larry on the Saluda up in the Midlands months back, and it was really, really kind of cool to see these two guys who work with me in the lab over at Trophy Lakes. It's like people are like, "How do you teach whitewater on a flat lake in the Low Country?" And I worked. I mean, these guys are awesome, man. They had a great day, and they worked together as a team, and they applied everything that they learned in that flat water environment. And it was just like I felt like a proud parent. And then as I'm walking on some rocks, and I'm preaching about, hey, don't walk on the rocks. Be careful, they're slippery. I fall down and almost break my head. So that was Superman Rapid will be mine. Yes, it will, man. It will be yours. I thought about you last time I was there, Lee. The water was up considerably. I was running it at about $3,000, and that rapid was just awesome, man. It was so big, and my friend and I we just worked that thing back and forth, and did a couple of rounds on it. We actually walked back up and came down twice, and I think when we went down that one section, I pointed out that rock that was split on the right-hand side, that sieve. Man, that thing was nasty that day. The water was just shooting through there like a Venturi, and there was more wood in it. So, yeah, great day. That river is the Saluda. If you haven't had a chance to paddle that up in Columbia, is amazing. Again, it's totally level dependent. I've paddled that as low as 500 CFS and as high as 30,000 CFS. So it's quite an animal. Really, really, really neat place. So again, I've had the good fortune of working with some folks down here. Dropped a couple of names, Larry and Lee, from in terms of whitewater training. And if you're interested in making that crossover, if you've never even tried it before and you want to get in a whitewater boat and see what it's all about, let me know. Be more than happy to drop you in. I've got plenty of them. You definitely owe it to yourself. I think, again, my whole gambit is this notion of there's no whitewater paddling, there's no recreation paddling, there's no sea kayaking. It's just paddling. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show folks that there's applicability to both what you can learn in whitewater and what you can learn in sea kayaking. It's like, I know sea kayaking has heavily affected my whitewater paddling because it allows me to drop strokes. And that definitely means that I'm being more efficient and saving energy for when I need it. Yeah, Larry. Yeah. Yep. I remember you pointing at that sieve after we passed it. Yeah. So, that's the one thing that we don't have pretty much in our sea kayak environment, unless we're doing rock gardening, or if we're riding some big swells and getting the mankiness, out there, and is features, right? So we talk about rocks, we talk about features. We're dealing with a current, we're dealing with gradient. We don't have a lot of that in our sea kayaking applications. We do have, we obviously have diurnal tide change. And depending on where you're at, that could be quite severe, like a tide race or a pinch point. A really good example of that locally would be, heading down to Elliott's Cut. That's a pretty significant little area to get through when there's a really strong, like a king tide, or spring tide. So in the whitewater world, man, you're working with all kinds of stuff, rocks. Definitely, foot entrapment hazards, strainers, which are trees or obstacles that are partially submerged. And then, like Larry said, the sieves, depending on where you're at, you can end up in one of those things, and it might be big enough for your boat to clear it, but not you. And unfortunately, in the over 10 years that I've been doing this, especially on the whitewater side, I've lost quite a few friends to drowning. And these are pros. So, these are folks that got into some bad situations and they weren't able to get out of their boats, and unfortunately didn't make it. So it's like anything, I guess, you're involved with that it's considered to be high risk. It's the same thing when I was flying airplanes. I lost a lot of friends doing that too. So yeah, exactly what I was thinking about currents and the winds at Elliott's. Absolutely. I remember the first time I came through Elliott's is I had to work that, basically, I think it was the right side, where I was just kind of clawing myself through the oyster beds at that point with my paddle, just to try to get some purchase, fighting getting back up. So it definitely, that's definitely a gnarly place for sure. There's some actually quite good surf there, depending on how you hit it, and getting out there and being able to kind of get in the middle of it and kind of play it right. So when I say surf, kind of like a freestanding wave kind of surf. Another great place for that is right underneath the Ravenel Bridge, on the side where the Mount Pleasant Park is. There's an awesome. Thanks, man. You're absolutely welcome, Lee. It's kind of like the only way I roll. I don't really know how any other way else to do it. So please, if you ever see me digressing from that level of detail, slap me in the head and say, "Hey, buddy, get back on point." But so that depending on the tide, if you're catching an outgoing tide, or an incoming tide, there, it can be spectacular surf. There's a little pocket that opens up there, and you can just jump in and have an awesome time for sure. So definitely appreciate the slap emoji there, Lee. Awesome. So it's there's plenty of places that can open up and be a lot of fun too. What I like to do too is, it's like you talk about these crossover applications. I like to take a whitewater playboat, like the smallest playboat that I have, which is like 6 foot, and I take that out on the Folly, or I take that out to wherever there's some surf, and get in the water and paddle that, with some waves. those boats are ridiculous because they're so responsive. So you figure about, you learn how to surf a 14 and a half, 16, 17-foot sea kayak, where you're bracing into a wave and everything. And then you go out there in a little spud boat that you can wave wheel. It's a totally different game. It's like you're getting trashed, but it's like you can roll so quickly back up that it's like you're just like on one set and onto the next set. So I definitely encourage folks, if they got a play boat or anything that's small, to go out there and play in the waves, for sure. Definitely one thing too is always remember, make sure you clean your boats. Said that before. Salt water is so harsh on even like things that are stainless fittings. You'll notice if you ever work with an old boat, like Larry said, Big Red. I remember when I did my first teardown on Big Red, all the hardware that was in that boat had to be replaced. It was all stainless, but it was fused together with salt. So one thing that I definitely would suggest doing is, when you are working on your boats and you're taking, like, say, deck lines off, you're doing any type of replacements that involve manipulation of your stainless hardware, before you put that back together again, coat it with grease. Get some good quality grease, and coat your threads on both your bolts and your screws, or and any of the metal hardware that is forming your attachment, and go ahead and cinch that down. Don't over torque. I know one thing that they don't have in the bike world, everything has a torque setting. Everything is labeled with a torque setting. Foot pounds, newtons. You don't have that with these sea kayaks, or you don't have that with these whitewater boats. Just don't crank down so hard that you're not going to be able to get it off. You just want to make it tight enough so that it's secured, and then back off just a hair. That way you'll be able to break it when you need to replace something. That I have learned the hard way, is not going too hard on those attachment points too. A little bit of grease will definitely go a long way. So cool. Again, the other thing too is the 303. Wash your boats. Depending on use, get out there. Clean them up. Clean them with. I like to use that Blue Coral car wash, or anything that's similar. Zip is great too, just to get some detergent in there. Clean it out. Let it dry out. Dry it up. Get that 303 on there. Do that like a couple of times, a month, depending on how you're paddling. It's really going to pay some handsome dividends in keeping the boat looking good, and also protecting it against the sun. That's definitely a big thing for sure. So anyway, so we're rolling up on 9:00. Yeah, an hour has gone by already. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to finishing my beverage. And I definitely appreciate folks that were able to jump in tonight. Larry, always, man, you've been a rock. I appreciate all all your feedback and all of your support over the years. Lee, you're definitely, I'm going to say, you're the junior rock. You're always out there, and I'm glad that you were able to jump on, and it's awesome to hear from you. And I'm looking forward to finally being able to do that Nantahala trip with you, and hopefully Larry as well, and maybe a few other folks. There's some spectacular camping up there. There's wonderful hiking. We can go up to the dam. We've got Lake Fontana's right there. There's beautiful, like, mountain biking trails. We can definitely have an awesome weekend of paddling and just knocking around. Also, we can head into Bryson City. Bryson City's got the Catawba Brewery right there, so we can hit that up. It's gonna just be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we'll get that planned and get some other folks that are interested in it too. We could even do it too, that if the group is large enough, we don't have to run it exclusively whitewater. We can also have the group that if they don't want to whitewater, they can hit Lake Fontana. Lake Fontana is beautiful, and it's an awesome lake to paddle with sea kayaks. It's really pretty. The water there is like a really beautiful turquoise, greeny, bluish color. It has to do with the level of copper that's in the water. Really kind of neat place. So I'm looking forward to this pandemic to kind of figure out what it wants to do. I know it's like a virus. You can't just say, bad virus, go away. I wish I could. So we're just gonna have to play this one out. But we will. The reality is we will get there, and I know that the NOC will be there. The river's certainly going to be there, so we don't definitely need the NOC to get on the river. And I know those campsites, those folks will be able to weather this out, and hopefully we'll be able to sit around a fire at some point and say, "Hey, remember that pandemic that we went through? Yeah, you remember all the ways that we changed. Remember all those incredibly bad videos Greg put together to try to keep our heads in the game." We'll definitely be able to have a good time and laugh about it. And that's I guess the best thing that we can do is kind of just do what we're doing, smile, have a beverage, talk to each other on Google Live, and be positive. That's it. That's all. That's the only way I know how to do it. So, and I refuse to do anything different. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say goodnight to y'all. I want to say thanks again to my sponsors, Wilderness Systems Kayaks. Big shout out to Steve Augustine. Thanks for all your support, pal. Dolphin Dave and the guys over at Timeout Sports. They've been awesome. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to that $25 gift certificate. I haven't had anybody send me a kayak picture, and I want to encourage people to do that. I mentioned the kayak vault. So the kayak vault is going to be kind of like that photo album of whitewater or sea kayaking or wreck kayaking. We're sitting on top, porn. So go ahead and get those pics out there. I'm going to keep hitting people up, and then I'll go ahead and get that. I'll do a first round pass on what I think is going to be the kayaks. The kayaks that are going to make the vault, and I'll throw it out there for a vote. And based on what y'all think, we'll go ahead and we'll start dispersing those gift certificates. So, okay, until next time, be on the lookout for the next video to drop. Like I said, I'm going to build that contact rig that I have on my boat. You probably saw it on the deck of Pomodoro, the boat that I was using in the maintenance video. I'm going to show you guys how to build one of those and discuss practical applications of using contact hose. So that'll be the next one to drop. Hopefully I'll get working on that tomorrow, if not Sunday. But that'll be the next one. And Larry, you are definitely welcome. Thanks, Greg. You keep me going. You guys keep me going. So like I said, comments, questions, concerns, feel free to always drop them down in the comments area. You guys have my email address. Let me know what you want to see, and I'll make it happen as best as I can. You guys stay well, and I'll see you soon. Have a great weekend, and look forward to paddling with you all very, very shortly. Best to you, your families. Stay safe. Lee, you stay safe out there at Folly Beach, my friend, and I'll talk to you soon.